talking about Beavis and Butthead, we mentioned the shows from the past that have kind of continued on and kind of never gone away, and what they look like now, it's not really the same as what they looked like 30 years ago, right?
Right, even though it's been on for 30 straight years.
And when I say looks the same, I mean the character designs look the same. But the show itself feels different.
Yeah,
right?
like as a whole, sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that there are probably a lot of fans of this show out there who would agree with the sentiment that The Simpsons is absolutely not what it used to be.
Yeah, it's a little weird that it's still on the air, honestly, because all of the people that I know like The Simpsons, none of them watch it anymore. Like, who's watching this show? You know?
I don't know. I mean...
But TV, be more funny!
Did the kids still watch this?
No.
I mean, is it something that the kids are interested in? I don't know. You know, I've watched some of the Treehouse of Horror episodes with my son.
Yeah, those are always good.
In recent years. And you know what I found out about the Treehouse of Horror episodes?
What's that?
All of those disclaimers at the beginning where Marge Simpson comes out and says,
"Tonight's show, which I totally wash my hands of, is really scary. So if you have sensitive children, maybe you should tuck them into bed early tonight instead of writing us angry letters tomorrow."
She was right, because my kid was fucking terrified.
Oh, no, really? Oh.
Yeah, to the extent that it's hard to get him to watch The Simpsons now.
Oh, wow.
Like the non-Treehouse of Horror.
Like, how many
Simpsons.
times did you try to do this?
Well, I mean, we watched a couple of them.
That's funny.
But see, like, I have a Christmas tradition of watching I do like to watch the pilot episode, Simpsons.
Oh, Santa's Little Helper or whatever?
Santa's Little Helper episode. And that was the episode that got Miles back, actually, from the brink. But the one that I go to every Christmas is Marge Be Not Proud. The one where Bart shoplifts the video game.
The video game, okay.
From the Try and Save, which is
Try and Save.
One of my favorite, absolute favorite Christmas episodes of anything ever.
Yeah, what is it? Bone Crusher?
It's Bone Storm.
Bone Storm, yeah.
So tell your folks, buy me, Bone Storm, or go to hell!
That's the slogan for it. But the episode is just wonderful. Because that security guard at the Try and Save, Don Brodka, who only appears in that one episode, but is just such a character. I loved that guy. Anyway, great episode, and I have a very soft spot in my heart for The Simpsons, even though I, too, don't really watch it anymore.
Right? That's the same with me. Whenever I think of The Simpsons, I have fond memories, you know, like that era that Conan O'Brien was writing on it.
Sure.
That whole group, like seasons 5 through probably 10 or something like that. Kind of the height of when I was watching. And I wonder if access is a thing because nobody watches appointment television anymore. And it used to be like that Sunday night block that had Simpsons, Family Guy was in there, and all
Futurama and King of the Hill.
Futurama, King of the Hill were in there for a while, yeah.
You would watch The Simpsons, you'd watch King of the Hill, and then the X-Files would come on. Like, it was a great Sunday night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I was trying to think of the lineup, but Fox kind of ruled Sunday night for a while, and they have not gotten away from animation. I think if you look at what they're running on Sunday night, it's still animation, and they're still trying to do animation, you know, and The Simpsons are on there. But who's watching it? I don't know who's watching.
I just don't know. I don't know. And similarly, what we're going to talk about this evening is pretty new, sort of exclusive to Disney Plus episode of The Simpsons. Premiered on February 12th of this year. It's called The Past and the Furious, and it's essentially just a 22-minute episode of The Simpsons that was exclusive to Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's strange. I wonder why they did that.
They've done it a few times. They have a Christmas one on there that was exclusive to Disney Plus. They have a lot of shorts on there now, which I'm also kind of like,
who is
shorts
this for?
in The Simpsons? Yeah, like, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, written by Rob Lezebnik, who is also the current showrunner of The Simpsons, and was directed by Mike Frank Polcino, the man with 2 first names and then a last name that sounds like a type of dried Italian meat. In an alternate reality version, for some reason, of Springfield, plants, the type you grow in the ground anyway, are non-existent, and attempts to cultivate new growth are met by the literal boot heel of Mr. Burns. Lisa, spiraling into depression, sees a therapist who utilizes EMDR tappers to provide sensory stimulation. These devices end up sending Lisa to the year 1923, where she faces a mirror image that is not her own and is driven by an unknown force to change history for the better.
Oh, boy.
The mirror image in question is that of her great-grandmother Edith, a saxophone player at the Little Moose Club, where she finds herself in an impromptu performance with singer Monty B., a young version of Mr. Burns, played here by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
But there's a lot of things in this episode I'm just like, okay. But what's the deal with that club's name? Well, it turns out that Springfield was once home to the mini moose, a crucial part of the ecosystem that went extinct in 1925. And so Lisa finds herself bouncing back and forth between eras, trying to make the change to the past that will alter the ecological nightmare of her present. So 2 things right off the bat. Like I said, this takes place in an alternate reality, and I don't know why. Is our desire for canonical storytelling so entrenched that we can't just accept that the events that happen in Springfield aren't real? Can we not agree on that?
Like, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, if you want to talk about canonical storytelling, Gerald Ford used to live in a big house across the street from The Simpsons.
Right. So, he moved in there after... Who
was it? H.W.? H.W. Bush?
Yeah, George H.W. Bush.
Yeah, right.
Say, Homer, do you like football? Do I ever? Do you like nachos? Yes, Mr. Ford.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
Homer owns the Denver Broncos, according to The Simpsons.
Well, see, that's the thing. The Simpsons are almost a model I use for my concerns over continuity. I may have mentioned on the podcast before my favorite quote about continuity is to use it as a guide and not a prison. Right? So it's like, yeah, The Simpsons, we have a understanding of each of the characters, but yeah, we're supposed to be back at the starting point every week, so whatever. It didn't really bother me that they said this was alternate because the idea was nothing was growing, right? But Springfield is essentially a suburb. It's got grass and flowers and gardens and stuff like that all around, but this was supposed to be sort of dystopian and factories everywhere, and
it's a little Orwellian, and that's why I mentioned the thing about the plants at the beginning, right? Like, yeah, the type of plants you grow you can't find, but you can find plenty of the other type of plants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
with all the smokestacks and stuff. It definitely has that classic 1984 oppressive architecture, gray skies, gray ground, gray buildings, everything is gray.
Yeah, I haven't the smoggiest why they decided to do that.
And I guess having
Thanks for that. I thought that was pretty good callback.
Pretty good callback.
All right.
I guess canonically, you don't want time travel to be an actual part of your show, so maybe there. But I mean, we've done these sorts of things, like the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Like, we all understand that those are just not real, quote unquote. I don't know. But anyway, the choice was made to set this in an alternate reality. And the way it opens, you're scrolling through an app to find a reality to watch, which was interesting. Even more so because, Nate, this came out just over 6 weeks ago by the time people are listening to this episode. And I don't know if you experienced the same thing I did, but this was virtually impossible to find on the Disney Plus menu.
By searching, it was.
Yes.
I kind of looked online what the title of it was, and I started typing the title in, and it didn't come up.
It did not come up.
You have to go through the Simpsons page.
It's bonkers. So for those of you who haven't seen this yet and are interested, first of all, when it premiered, it was in the banner on the landing page. You could see it on the screen. It's like, oh, there's the easy way to watch it. Now that it's no longer there because, things like Daredevil Born Again have come out and supplanted it, you've got to go to the Simpsons main page. You've got to go to Seasons. you have to make sure you scroll all the way up, because if you go past season 1, you've got to go up to season 1, and then there's another slot above season 1, if you go through all the seasons, that says exclusives.
Okay.
And when you click there, then you can find this and the Christmas one that they did. I had to do all of that, and I also had to Google how to find the fucking thing. I was like, I should not have to Google to figure out how to find something, because I tried to search by the title, and you can't find it that way.
Right.
This came out a month ago.
I know, and when you found it on the landing page, you were like, oh, crap, we got to do that for the April Fools. And
Sure.
then for it to just sort of disappear within a matter of weeks.
Crazy. Just crazy. But that's the sort of fast click, fast watch, content-driven society we live in right now, guys. We do still have plants and trees, but make no mistake,
Right.
This is also a dystopia.
Well, the question then is, was it worth all that trouble? What did you think of this?
For me or for Lisa?
Well, I meant for you. How does it stack up?
I mean, I can't stack it up against The Simpsons itself.
Excellent.
I don't know. It's weird. This is a weird little cartoon.
I think it's a weird experience because this is kind of like dipping your toe back in water. For me, I will quote The Simpsons with anybody that will understand it.
Sure.
From the era that I watched.
And in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 B's for a quarter, you'd say.
And then
Sure.
there was a period when I stopped watching, I felt like the show had just gone downhill and was just terrible. And then you kind of hear on the internet or amongst friends or wherever that, oh, you know, The Simpsons is actually pretty good right now. Or, oh, it's gotten better, you know, but I never tuned back in. It's like, oh, now it's down again. Lots of ups and downs, right?
I've dipped back in and out over the years
Did you?
periodically. I didn't watch like a whole season, but I might catch an episode here and there.
Yeah.
And if it was a topic that struck my interest, like there was an episode with a bunch of comic creators in it, right? Like
Oh,
Alan
cool.
Moore guest starred.
Alan Moore?
Alan Moore was in an
Wow.
episode. I want to say Art Spiegelman had a guest spot on it.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it was
Okay.
wild. It was kind of a deep dive of comic book artists.
Art Spiegelman is definitely a deep dive for those that don't know.
Yeah. Art Spiegelman wrote, didn't it win like the Pulitzer or something?
Yeah, it's
like,
a Pulitzer Prize winning mouse. Yeah.
Mouse. And the man who shall remain unnamed but will be referred to as the creator of the Sandman also appeared on The Simpsons at one point. So there are points throughout the last few years where I've snuck back in, watched an episode or two. But by and large, I haven't. And I would say this episode, structure-wise, humor-wise, is pretty consistent with what I've seen more recently from the show.
Okay. So here was my overall feeling of this. I had a little bit of trouble wrapping my mind around it because I felt like a lot of the jokes, there are a few that I actually laughed at, but it felt like a lot of the jokes were jokes that are similar enough to the era that I was watching and will laugh at all the time, like Troy McClure, Lionel Hutz. That era with those types of jokes, it seemed like there were very similar jokes in this episode, but they weren't funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, I hear the joke, I hear the punchline, and I recognize that this is relatively funny. And it's also the same kind of structure of comedy that I used to watch on this show, but for some reason it's not striking me.
It's just not, it's not hitting anymore. But it's weird because, we just talked about Beavis and Butthead. And, I mean, I was giggling the entire time.
Yeah. And I want that one felt like nostalgia. Beavis and Butthead, like we said, it didn't miss a beat. I just felt like I was back there, right?
Yeah.
This one was more like, well, let's see what this is like now. And I made note of a couple of these jokes.
There's nothing harder than when your kid's so depressed it slightly bums you out.
That's a classic Homerism. I felt like
that.
Yeah.
That is like the old show. And then we don't use the word crazy in this family.
It seemed like I'd gone back in time, but obviously that's crazy.
Don't say that, sweetie. Crazy is not a word we use in our family.
$12 for parking? What kind of crazy office is this? Lady, you're crazier than Lisa, and she's crazy. To summarize, can I borrow $12? And if you think I'm going to pay you back, you're crazy. Like Lisa.
And, like, I kind of snickered at those because those were, like, structurally the types of things that you feel like you could quote later.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. Like, The Simpsons was so instantly quotable back in the day. And then this episode had other things like Bart's fart gun.
Yeah. One of the big things I made a note of, do you remember when Bart was the main character of this show?
Yeah.
He barely appears in this, and his appearance is really just like, well, we got to get Bart in here somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like there's no real structural need for him in this episode, but he shows up with his little fart gun. They give him something to do.
Santa's Little Helper plays automatically when this ends, or it did for me. Definitely a juxtaposition there, because, yeah, I watched some of it. Clearly a different show, but it felt like Bart was the main character, and then over the years, like, Homer kind of took over, and it became Homer's show. I guess I don't know because I don't watch it so much, but I feel like that's probably still the case. Like, I think people...
I think it probably is.
Yeah. He's just...
Who was your favorite Simpson character?
Homer.
Like, of the family?
Of the family, yeah, it's Homer.
Homer? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that gets all the good jokes.
I think Homer's the funniest. My favorite character has always been Lisa, though.
Oh, okay.
If I'm being totally honest with myself, she's like the glue that holds the show together for me.
That's curious.
She's like the heart, like the beating heart of The Simpsons. Like, Homer is Homer and Bart is Bart, but Lisa's the one holding the whole enterprise together.
Okay.
That's the way I've always felt. She's like the mature one.
She was always, like, I always thought of her as, like, when it was a Lisa episode, it was kind of like, all right.
They were always the most touching episodes, though.
Yeah.
They're always like tug on your heartstring moments. But this is obviously a very Lisa-heavy episode. And I'll tell you the thing that maybe threw me off the most, if I'm just like juxtaposing this with like the episodes we knew and loved, the animation on the dance sequence with Monty B and Lisa as Edith is so good. Like,
oh, it's very smooth, yeah.
It is jarringly good animation where they're doing the dances.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we have seriously come a long way, because it's like feature film quality animation with the just this dance routine that they do. I was like, man, that's pretty good.
I mean, it's a far cry from the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah, oh my God.
Well, good night, son.
Dad?
Yeah?
What is the mind?
Relax. What is mind? No matter. What is matter? Never mind.
Thanks, Dad.
Good night, son.
You know, I like the sort of jazz age flapper girl kind of motif.
Yeah,
this episode is going for us, so I'm glad we went there.
Paris in the 20s, in the rain, the artists and writers.
Why does every city have to be in the rain? What's wonderful about getting wet?
I do think it's funny that 100 years ago, Mr. Burns is still like in his 20s. You know?
That's
that idea is pretty funny.
Yeah, when I was talking about the comedy, you didn't really give your 2 cents. Did you find this funny?
There were things I really laughed at, yeah. A couple moments that I did laugh at. One was when Lisa runs across Barney laying on the curb outside of Moe's. You find out that Moe's is now occupying the building that used to be the, what was it called?
Moose
Little Moose. Yeah, Moose Club.
Yeah.
And Barney's just laying out there on the curb, of course, in a drunken stupor. And you hear him say, I used to be the Plow King. That's right. Like,
what did he?
Did you catch that?
No, I missed that.
Well, that was a throwback, right?
Yeah, the Plow King.
Hey, I used to be the Plow King. That's right.
Oh, I did not catch that. Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty cool.
His comments, though, were another joke that I feel like I would have been quoting if maybe it's me that's changed.
Yes, we all love Mr. Plow. Oh, you've got the song memorized, do you? So does everyone else.
I mean, but I don't know, because, I mean, it's like, I feel like we all changed.
Yeah.
I passed out on Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday.
It's Friday.
Friday? All right, I can sleep in tomorrow.
That is a pretty good one.
It's funny, but I don't have the desire to like go back to it. What I would say is like as a Simpsons episode, it functions adequately, but as a time travel episode, it works really well.
It actually does. And that's what I was going to mention, like Barney laying on the curb. The whole reason he's laying there is because once he rolls out of the way, Lisa sees...
Oh my God. The picture I drew 100 years ago is actually there. It wasn't a dream. I traveled through time.
Me too. I passed out on Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday.
It's Friday.
Friday? All right, I can sleep in tomorrow.
She and Monty had written their initials in the cement back in 23, and it's still there in front of Moe's, and that's how she's like, oh, I didn't imagine it. It wasn't some sort of therapy thing. I really did travel through time, and that's when she decides, I might be able to change this.
Right.
You know? And for a 22-minute episode, it really does kind of keep you guessing in terms of what, specifically in the past, she needs to change to create the scenario she's looking for in the present.
Right, or why what she does change didn't work, right?
Yes.
Like you go back and she accomplishes a goal of saving the moose, or she thinks she does, and she comes back and it hasn't changed anything. There's some question as to, well, why didn't that work, you know? And I say that it functions well as a time travel episode, and I really do believe it does, but mainly because, like I've said before, I'm a structure guy. Mm-hmm. This is following the formula of what a time travel save the world kind of show is.
Yes. Yeah.
Am I actually doing good by going back in time? Clearly I'm making things worse, but I've become obsessed with the opportunity to make these changes, right? And it kind of follows those tropes in a positive way, the same way Star Wars follows the hero's journey. You know, it's like The Simpsons is doing a time travel episode, and that's the skeleton of what a good time travel story is.
Yeah, it reminded me on like this the basic level of sort of zigzagging back and forth and not knowing if what you're doing is making things worse or better. It reminded me of Bishop's time travel episodes on the X-Men.
Right.
The whole thesis behind the Time Fugitives two-parter is that Bishop goes back, makes things worse, screws up Cable's future. Cable goes back.
Yeah, because Cable wanted to save his dystopia.
Right.
Yeah.
And then every time Bishop goes back home, he's like, oh, man, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
I'm back in the future again.
They do feature the scientist in this. What's the scientist's name on this?
Professor Frink.
Professor Frink, yeah.
Professor Frink. And that's another... I mean, Frink's got to show up in a time travel episode. And like he says, and this is another pretty clever line, I'm a man of science, but I'm also a man of science fiction.
So make like a Petri and dish.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is good. What's the matter with me? Like when we sitting here talking about it and you actually think about the jokes that were made. Yeah,
I actually liked it.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
And Lisa does explain to Frink what's going on, and his response is, your experience most closely resembles a quantum leap minus the Scott baculations.
Yeah.
Your experience most resembles a quantum leap minus the Scott baculations.
I mean, that got the biggest laugh from me, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that hits close to home.
His dry erase board has a picture of the TARDIS on it from Doctor Who.
And I also kind of thought of Doc Brown as he was working on making the perfect Arnold Palmer.
Right.
Doc was trying to make an iced tea in 1885.
Yeah, that's clever.
No! What happened? I didn't change anything. I could never change anything.
Well, no, you did do something. The Mini-Moose did not die out in 1925.
Really?
Now they died out in 1923.
No. I accelerated their extinction? Oh, God.
And then, of course, somehow Professor Frink is isolated. You would think that it would also affect him, but I guess proximity or something. Or it could be because it's a cartoon and we don't need to care.
Yeah, that's also possible. So Lisa's kind of documenting all of this in her dream journal, which Homer finds. And here's another great line. Don't take this the wrong way, but your mom and I think you've gone completely wackadoodle.
Yeah.
and Marge takes the tappers away from her. So she can't travel in time. She's got to figure out another way to facilitate her continued journeys back and forth. And her answer to that is, who do I know that does more therapy than I do? And, of course, cut to Millhouse.
Everything's coming up, Millhouse.
So are these tapper things completely made up for the show?
I don't know. I mean, like, EMDR is a real thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know about tappers.
Yeah.
And I certainly can't speak to their efficacy as time travel devices.
Or even therapeutic devices.
Sure. The thing on the show that it reminded me of was, remember when Homer sat down in that massage chair that one time? And, like, everything in front of him started streaking like the end of 2001.
2001, yeah, no, I do remember that.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Like,
yeah, a little bit. It works fine for the necessity of the show.
I mean, the idea isn't that Lisa's body is traveling through time. It's that her mind is traveling through time.
Yeah,
right?
That's right, yeah.
So it's almost like these therapeutic devices are stimulating her brain in a way that kind of launches it back in time.
Yeah.
So that kind of holds the whole thing together. If they were causing her body to travel, that would be weird. But given that it's supposed to target and stimulate parts of your brain,
yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's fair. Yeah.
Makes sense that 1 in a million people might respond to it this way.
Time travel.
And again, this episode really does achieve a lot in like 22 or 23 minutes. Lisa goes back again and releases the moose, and then they eat all of Mr. Burns' orchids.
Monty B's
orchids, which he grows in remembrance of his mother.
Right.
And then he loses it and says he'll make sure the future is paved over. So she inadvertently creates Mr. Burns.
If I can never have beauty, neither will Springfield. I will become a tycoon and pave over the entire town. And to make certain that nothing grows, I'll salt the earth, pepper the oceans, and cumin the sky.
Right.
Yeah, it becomes, would he have been evil if she hadn't gone back to stop him from being evil?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's clever. It's got just enough of that. Oh, it's interesting as time travel. She's the cause of the problem that she's trying to fix, you know?
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
It gets really cool at the end when Burns discovers Lisa's dream journal and uses the tappers to travel back to his younger self, to Monty B. And then Burns and Monty B have this kind of, I guess, in a dialogue with each other.
Well, I guess Monty B doesn't fight back, but it made me think of Superman 3.
Okay, yeah.
Superman and Clark having the conversation back and forth because he was in Monty's body, but represented for the audience as old Mr. Burns.
Yes. And there's also a number of moments in this episode where we see Lisa standing in front of a mirror and you can see Edith reflected.
Yeah.
Which is a cool touch, quantum leap style touch.
For sure.
For this. Yeah, I think I liked this, Nate. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, God, I kind of want to go back and watch it again now. I think maybe I was a little put off because of how hard Disney made it to find on the app. I think that's...
Yeah.
Maybe I went into it like a little sour because I was like, God, this should not be as hard to find.
I don't know. Part of me wonders, now that we're talking about it, back in the day when I was watching it, everybody was watching it, right?
Right.
Wasn't necessarily that you'd be like, oh, did you see what happened on The Simpsons last night? But enough people are watching that you can make the joke and we can laugh about it together because you'll already understand. You know, like everybody knew The Simpsons.
Everybody knew the quotes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a cultural phenomenon in a way that very few things are anymore. Even if everybody sees it, nobody's watching it at the same time.
That's true. Yeah.
Everything's disjointed. You can't guarantee that this person saw this on this night. Hey, Nate, I still haven't watched any of Daredevil Born Again yet. I haven't gotten there.
I haven't either.
God, what is wrong with us?
I know.
Didn't we want this?
I was desperate for it. I couldn't wait. And no, I'm ashamed of myself, honestly.
That's the point, though. Our pop culture doesn't come in scheduled doses now. It's just everywhere all the time. I might have seen Severance and met up with a friend who watched White Lotus. And what the fuck are we going to talk about now? You know? Spoilers, I haven't watched either of them yet.
No, I don't know either of those shows. And the one that people keep telling me about is Yellow Jackets, that I've got to watch Yellow Jackets.
Melanie Linsky is in Yellow Jackets. Hey, speaking of performers from things we've watched this season, did you catch the gag in this episode that was a reference to somebody we have discussed this season?
All I remember talking about this year is Millennium.
Right.
Which we're not bringing up. We're not bringing up tonight, I promise.
No, when Lisa goes to see the therapist who specializes in, this is funny too, ecological melancholy. The place they take her to see the therapist is called the Aubrey Medical Plaza.
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
That's a gag. I was like, huh? And then it went away, and then I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Aubrey Medical Plaza. Got it.
Yeah, good for her. Okay. No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still, these days, seek out people that watched it when you did. Yeah. Quotes are still viable. There's a guy I work with that, you quote The Simpsons from that bygone era.
We're from, like, a bygone era?
And, yeah, you can just throw one out there and expect that he's going to get it,
I did a Simpsons trivia night a few months ago, and I wrote all the questions myself. And the biggest question I got in the weeks leading up to it was, how many seasons are you doing? And I was like, I'm not doing anything past season 10. Part of the reason is because I haven't watched anything past season 10.
I was going to say, that's 20 years of Simpsons.
But everybody was like, okay, that's good. Nobody wanted the new stuff. They wanted the old stuff.
Just takes you back to the beginning. Who's been watching this?
I would say the last concerted effort I made was like the Simpsons movie. When the Simpsons movie came out, I was like, yes, I'm watching it.
Okay.
And the Simpsons movie was like the end of the Simpsons for me. Like it kind of capped the experience. And I dip back into the well every once in a while, but I'm just like, man, wasn't that like the peak?
20th Century Fox presents the greatest Simpsons family adventure of all time.
Was it?
Well, they got Sam Simon and Al Jean and all those older guys back to do the movie.
I mean, that could be, but I was out before then. I think
I definitely wasn't watching the show anymore at that point. But I came back for the movie because they got so many of the old guard back for it.
Now that I'm really kind of examining it, what forced me out really was, and I don't know what season it was, but there was a period where suddenly they thought the draw of this show was what guest star can we get on there? What celebrity can be on there? And every fucking week it was some celebrity that I didn't care about, that like, I don't need to see this person.
Yes.
And I just got tired of it. The last time I saw a guest star on there that I actually really enjoyed was the softball episode. When they had all those, all those
like
ball players from the 80s and 90s. I know, but that's one of my favorites.
Oh, the softball episode is
for the
so
baseball
good. I had a friend visiting from Austria. This is about 10 years ago. And we took her to see a Charlotte Knights game, our minor league baseball team.
AAA, man. I've been there several times.
Before we went to the baseball game, I was like, here, I want to show you this. So you have more of an understanding of
what baseball is.
And she was...
Did she
this
laugh?
Was the thing.
Because half of those jokes are so baseball-centric.
This was the thing. Before we watched it, she was like, oh, I hate The Simpsons. It's just so dumb. It's just never hit me. Then I showed her the episode, and she was like, it's so different watching it without the French dub, because she was from France and she only ever saw a French dubbed version of The Simpsons. And she was like, the people doing the voices don't sound anything like this. This is so much better. Like,
I suspect it would be. I mean, half of the draw is that voice cast.
Yeah. It's an A+ voice cast, man. And I can't believe they're still doing it.
Yeah. And, as we talked about Homer becoming the main character, there's a point where you're watching it for all of the supporting characters, all of the people that populate Springfield, Mayor Quimby,
you don't scam me. That could be anyone's ass.
Yeah. Moe, Barney, all of these characters are the ones that you're watching for at some point, and that's a testament.
It really
as well.
is. It really is, and it's so many.
I mean, we could talk about The Simpsons.
It's a slippery slope because you mention a character, and I think of 10 great moments that character had that we could just immediately launch into. It's like
Chief Wiggum,
Wiggum,
you know.
Chocolate never gives out. See.
Let that be your lesson to the rest of you nuts.
I'm proceeding on foot. Pretzels. We need pretzels. Man. Hey, Chief, watch this. He shoots a hoop. That's good work, guys.
I like the episode that was probably in 95 or whatever, but it was playing off of Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah, like 22 short films about Springfield. That's a good one. Donuts. I got donuts. Hey, I know you.
Hey, I know you.
Snake. Yeah. Good stuff. Good
yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, the one other thing I want to mention. We brought up the softball episode, and we didn't bring up the resolution of this episode, which is that...
baseball cards.
Professional baseballers.
Monty B stashes a very expensive lamp in the basement of Moe's, and Lisa goes to find it, but it's shattered, right? And it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he packed it in with a bunch of worthless tobacco baseball cards. And Lisa's pulling them out, and it's like Babe Ruth, Cy Young, and Honus Wagner, which is one of the players Burns wanted on the softball team for the plant. But
Mordecai, Three-Fingered Brown.
Three-Fingered Brown. Sir, all of them have retired and passed on.
That's right.
Your right fielder's been dead for 110 years. Damnation. Man, that's so good. But yeah, Honus Wagner got another shout out on this Simpsons episode. And
nice.
Lisa's able to use the money from those cards to fund a new park, and she plants the orchids there. And even though Mr. Burns still a sourpuss at the end, he smells the flowers and says, "You're as lovely as ever, Mother," and dances away.
Right.
It's a nice little episode, yeah.
It is. It's actually is pretty good. Yeah. We've talked ourselves into it. I think it is a good episode. But it's not going to make me go tune into The Simpsons on
much
Sunday
like
nights.
The Constant on Lost.
Like you said, I'm going to watch Daredevil before you get me to watch Simpsons.
Sure. There's just so much. There's too much to watch. And The Simpsons, I feel like I've got all the jokes I need to function as a member of society. I don't need any more Simpsons references. I've got all the references I need.
I don't hear people making references to anything past the time that and maybe it's just the people that we hang out with.
They're all the same age we are, and we're all talking with the same people.
Hey, if you're out there right now and you still watch The Simpsons,
drop us a line.
Know, and let us know why.
Give us a few episodes. If there are a few episodes out there from the last, say, 10 years of this show.
20 years.
Okay, or 20. But Nate, that was when there were all those guest stars. It was just the guest star palooza.
Fair.
So I'm trying to put some safe distance there. Yeah. I'd be interested to hear what people think about The Simpsons at this point.
If you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
The tappers that Lisa uses to travel through time.
We don't get a lot about the actual tappers, but the method is fun.
Yeah.
It's Quantum Leap, basically. New Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Because her body isn't leaping. But, leaping into one of your ancestors. And, yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, it is. Man, I'm looking at the list.
Yeah, it's got some merit to it, but where does it actually fall? We're up to 10 now.
This feels very similar to the same type of time travel in My Old Ass. That's kind of what I'm looking at. It's dealing with yourself or an ancestor, right? You don't have complete control over it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would put this just a notch below My Old Ass.
And above the Time Cop
above
comic?
The Time Cop comic.
When I think about the tappers themselves, it seems.
Can I make an argument on behalf of the tappers with regards to its placement above the Time Cop railcar? That comic makes it very clear that experience is extraordinarily unpleasant. it looks so painful.
Yeah, right.
This is the full opposite of that, where this is a device that's designed to help you relax and stimulate your mind and not make you feel like your atoms are exploding. You know? So I would kind of put it above that just from a comfort level almost.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we're going to put this in slot number 7. Below drug-induced?
Oh, yeah, I mean, because it's clearly not as much fun as that would be, right? Look, I'm saying the drug-induced stuff also, it's like Aubrey Plaza comes to visit you.
I'm going to...
You know?
Yeah.
That's just me, though. That's my personal preference as far as, Aubrey Plaza coming to visit me. You think above it? You think above it.
I say above it, and my reasoning would be, as nice as Aubrey Plaza is, she's not on my cheat list.
All right.
So, but in a larger sense, My Old Ass is not a time travel story. Right? I mean, can't we say? I don't think we said that in the episode, but if you think about it, that's not what we're worried about here. Whereas this is specifically the type of thing that we watch for this podcast. And the method of time travel that Lisa is experiencing, she goes through the motions of realizing that she's traveled through time. She goes through the motions of realizing that it was real. Yeah, I like it better than just hey, I drank some tea and now my story can continue.
I'm fine with that. So this would be the new number 6.
Yeah, let's make it number 6.
Right. Yeah, because they're kind of interchangeable. And at the end of the day, therapy is probably healthier than drug use. So let's just go.
Our work is done. I move we adjourn.